Today on The Real Fan Review, we get you guys ready for the Toy Story 4 movie coming out. Plus, we get you the latest in the movie news. Welcome to The Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from The Real Fan Review. If it's your first time with us, we always want to thank you for joining us for this conversation. And if you're coming back to check us out, we thank you for coming back to check our weekly conversation there about movies. As always, I always have a team of 4 or 3 with me. And today we got my boy Sanj with me.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you, as always.
And on this episode, we got the man in the chair back.
Yes.
We got my man Al here.
What's going on, everybody?
And on this episode here, what we're doing something a little different. So right now, we started to do a little bit recording on the camera there for YouTube. So instead of doing the trailers on our podcast, to try to shorten up the length of the podcast that we do, we're going to be doing the trailer reviews or the trailers on the YouTube site.
See, and unfortunately, you're going to see my face, and I have a face that was made for audio.
It's going to be crazy, man. Especially, working out the kinks on this thing. You're going to see me sweating. My forehead's going to be glossy. But we're going to work out the kinks and make everything look good, man. We got this big-ass green screen that's hopefully going to look real nice on the YouTube there. So today's episode, listen, we got the hint, fellas. Everybody who listens to us. You guys like preps. You guys like the recaps of these movies before these big movies come out. So we're listening to the fans, man, because every time I look on the Buzzsprout stats and the people who are listening to us around the country and different parts, other
of the
countries,
world,
yeah, no, it's insane. Mongolia, Russia, what other places we've had on there? I know we've seen
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh was
Didn't-
Bangkok.
Did we have some Finland as well? I
I
wanted.
think at one point we did too, man. So it's just crazy. But we noticed that
Shout out to Helsinki.
we noticed that the preps and the recaps are getting a lot of views from everybody. So, we'll try to maintain that. We'll keep doing the recaps so that when these big movies come out, we get you guys ready for these movies. You kind of got a feel for what you're about to see, or at least you're caught up on the story. So today our recap is going to be on Toy Story 4. So that's going to be awesome. We're going to do Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. But real quick, just want to make sure that you guys always know that you can always visit us at therealfanreview.com. That's the website we made, and you can reach us there. Just leave a comment, or if there's a subject or a discussion you want us to have, put something down on there. And I think the offer for a free T-shirt is still up there, Sanj?
The offer for the free T-shirt is still stands. Haven't had any takers yet, but remember the first 3 to email in and tell us who you are and where you want me to send the T-shirts and your size. We will send you out a T-shirt. First 3.
There you go.
We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. And one of the things we also are maintaining is our Instagram site, our Twitter, and also on Facebook. So you guys, there's plenty of ways to reach us, talk to us. We know you guys are listening, so we just appreciate you guys listening. Just take another step forward and just, like I said, subscribe. Tell the people that that like movies, tell them about us. So we're just trying to grow the fan base there a little bit. So let's go into that first topic this week of the news of the week before we get into this recap. One of the things I wanted to tell you about is Dark Phoenix, lad, that came out 2 weeks ago. It's kind of not doing so great out in the theaters, but there was some news that came out about it that I think we kind of mentioned something that there was another story being told that they had to change. They did retakes and all this, reshot a couple of the scenes, especially the last scene. Mm-hmm. So I found out what it is that they reshot. So first thing, that movie was supposed to be actually 2 parts. It was supposed to be a 2-part story.
Oh.
It's a big enough story that it can be 2 parts. I would have really enjoyed seeing that in 2 parts, because then they could have fleshed out a few things a little bit more.
I think they could have made us feel a little bit more for Jean Grey, because I think that's part of the thing that lacked in the movie is I think they expected you guys, or expected us, to just be all about the characters, and we really didn't have a long time, because if I'm correct, it was the Days of Future Past. They weren't in that movie, the young X-Men, right?
Well, they
came in Apocalypse, right?
No,
they
were in
Days of Future Past, because Days of Future Past merged the 2, but you didn't have the whole cast.
I'm talking about the Cyclops and Jean Grey.
Right, no, you didn't have all of them. You had Magneto, you had young Magneto, young Professor X, and Mystique.
Right.
and Beast,
and then Quicksilver
Quicksilver
was introduced. He
was introduced, and that was it. But you didn't have the core of the X-Men there. And I did read some stuff as well that the original director who did First Class, his
Matthew Vaughn, I think it was.
yeah,
right?
his vision for, he was going to make 4 movies. The movie after First Class would have been based around Magneto,
Mhm.
and that would have told the story of Magneto, and brought in the Kennedy assassination piece that they used as a plot device in Days of Future Past.
Right.
That was supposed to be its whole own movie, where they would have started to introduce the Dark Phoenix story and make us, and hopefully get us a little closer to Jean Grey, get us a little bit more invested in Jean Grey. It would have went to Days of Future Past, and then Dark Phoenix. So by then you would have been heavily invested. So what you're saying is correct, and your take on it, Al, too. About not really being invested in Jean
Characters,
Grey
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, no, and then let me say I wasn't here for the review from last week, but I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I think we all did. We all came out, we stopped, and we were like, "What the heck is everybody talking about?"
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't understand they reset some of the timeline, but Jean Grey to be getting the Phoenix Force from an alien power or entity or whatever it was is totally different than how she got it in Last Stand.
Right.
So
it was in her already.
It was in her
It was just
already.
her innate ability that got unlocked.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
okay, fine. You want to reset certain events, and now she doesn't get it in Last Stand. She gets it much younger, but you completely changed how she got it as well.
Right.
So I understand where some of their basis is, but nitpick that. Don't say it wasn't a good movie just because you don't like the fact that they changed everything. You got to remember they were throwing everything out the window anyway, so they were going to give you whatever they could.
Right.
But it was still a great movie. In fact, as far as I was concerned, it was still a really good superhero movie.
Right. Exactly.
I think for us, we were invested in those characters, regardless of if we had seen them on screen or not. We knew who they were. We knew their stories. We knew everything. We knew everything about them. All the different ways that the story could have gone. Because remember, even in the comic books, there's a few different versions of everything for
Absolutely.
every character.
Oh yeah.
Right. So we were heavily invested in that. So that's why we approached it that way. And when we saw it, we're like, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand what they were saying about the actors phoning it in or the
Yeah,
performance.
that I
didn't
didn't
see
see.
that though.
You know, I
Yeah,
can see them saying that Jessica Chastain didn't shine as good of an actress as she is, and I did see that. You know, her role as that alien was just something that could.
They
have
really
been.
didn't give her much to shine
Exactly.
with. You know?
But you know the reason why? One of the things that's a part of this story with the Dark Phoenix is that she was actually supposed to be a Skrull.
And then they changed.
They
the
changed
scroll,
it
they
to-
changed the scrolls. They made them.
The Diari or whatever they were called, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they were supposed to be Skrulls, that team of aliens.
Okay.
okay.
And that they would have been shapeshifters.
Okay. That
And
makes
then
a lot of
what
sense.
it was.
But
so,
the scrolls still are shapeshifters in
No,
the,
but I think that
yeah.
was also the part that because it was going to be too similar to I guess
Captain
Captain
Marvel,
Marvel,
yeah.
they had to redo everything.
Exactly. And then one of the things that they were doing with those Skrulls were that instead of that whole train sequence, which I'm glad they kept because that train sequence was absolutely awesome, it was supposed to be a big battle at the UN, and they were going to find that a bunch of the
delegates.
there were Skrulls
Oh.
controlling different countries, controlling parts of the United States.
See, that story has a little bit more depth to it.
Yeah, so it was a big battle, big scene. They cut it all out though because they said because of the Skrull angle, they had to cut it out and they reshot it, and they did the train scene and they
But then
changed
they
the
could
alien that
they
they
could
were.
have still did all that with
Right, they should have just gone for it. You
Yeah.
already had your plan.
and just changed the species of the villain. You know what I mean?
You're not part of that storyline. You're not part of that universe. So
Right.
it
Exactly.
realistically could have played out.
I get you, but yeah, man, that's crazy. I saw that and I was definitely wanted to bring that up. And then the last bit of news for this week, man, Ant-Man came out. Paul Rudd.
Yes.
He went on some kind of show or something where he was having like a conversation, and they were asking him what's going on with Ant-Man Part 3, and he goes, "Listen, I don't know anything. I mean, if you guys want, ask them." So I was wondering, like, do you guys feel like there's an Ant-Man 3 that's needed because Ant-Man 1 and 2 were pretty good, or do you think his story pretty much is finished?
They already see. I'm kind of torn because I enjoyed both 1 and 2.
Right.
And now that they've brought in the Wasp and they've touched on the quantum realm and everything, I thought it would be the great opportunity for 3, but then they made quantum realm such a big part of Endgame
Exactly.
to the point where now, because of Tony Stark, they now know how to control it, even in regards to time
manipulate
travel.
time, yeah.
So what else is there left to expand on?
That's
Unless
what I
you
was
just
thinking.
bring
It all-
another villain. But
It all
Right.
to me, it would depend on where they're taking the story.
Exactly. Like we don't even know where they're
Well,
the next step
we'll
really
see.
is. Yeah.
I was about to say we'll see when Spider-Man: Homecoming, but we won't see in Spider-Man: Homecoming because this rounds out Phase 4, right?
This rounds out Phase 3.
Rounds out Phase 3. So whatever they decide to do with Phase 4, if there's a way for Ant-Man and Wasp to fit in, I like their characters.
Yeah.
I like what they do, but they would have to fit into the story. I don't want them to give them a third movie just to give them a third
I got
movie.
you, yeah.
Because look what happened when you do that with Iron Man,
Mm-hmm.
right? As big a part of the whole universe that Tony Stark was, you didn't need that third Iron Man movie because if Iron Man was in every other movie, also,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't expand the story in any meaningful way.
Yeah, any relevant type
Right.
of thing. Yeah.
So let's not do this to just expand the story. Let's say that we learned our lesson. Because I mean, if anything, that's the only movie in the MCU that we can really point to say like they really bombed
Yeah.
on that.
So if you had to choose, would you rather have him be in his own story, or would you rather him be included in somebody else's story?
I would like him. I would definitely like him included because now they all became Avengers. They all became part of the team
Exactly.
per
yeah.
se. So they're
Yeah.
all there. That's what I'm saying. Like they don't necessarily need their own movie, right?
Yeah.
Hulk doesn't need his own movie.
No.
But they can be there because it's already set up that this is a team environment.
Gotcha.
And even in the movies, they make fun of the fact that he's not a main
Right.
member.
Exactly.
They always like, oh, who are you? Like even the people didn't want his picture. Like when they were in the jail, they were.
He's like- and then-
Iron Man was like, "Who are you
Who are
again?"
you? And then you have him. He's a smart guy,
Yeah.
but you have him sitting there with certified geniuses Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. Right? He's like the guy. He's like me. I read popular science and I know about science,
Yeah.
all of the science, because of the researchers that have dumbed it down so I can understand it. Right?
Right.
I'm that guy. Right? He doesn't add anything to the science.
Basically, all they taught him was press the left button
Button
to shrink, press the right button to get big.
And the thing is,
that's
I mean,
it. That's all
he does
does.
understand quantum mechanics, but
Yeah.
exactly. But
But when did, in all honesty, I was thinking about that after Endgame. When did he learn enough to teach everybody?
he didn't teach everybody.
He
He just came up.
suggested
He
it.
came up
Yeah.
with the
What
idea.
did he just give
Because
him
he
the
came out
research?
of there and he figured, hey, if I was in there and it only felt like 5 minutes, there's got to be a way to control that so that we can then manipulate the time to go back.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but what about you, Al? Would you rather see him in his own movie or a part of somebody else's story?
Definitely part of somebody else's.
All right.
Like to play, because especially Paul Rudd as an actor, I feel like he's also more of a
Like a side,
like you bounce the comedy off of him, and he
Yeah.
complements and enhances the humor of the antagonist or protagonist, whatever they call it,
He
of the
can bring
movie.
some levity
Yeah.
to
Right.
To,
So someone serious, like maybe like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I would like to see him in another movie show his chops, that he can lead the movie.
Mm-hmm.
but it would have to be the story. What story
Yeah,
we
exactly, yeah.
what storyline are we doing?
Exactly.
Because they've exhausted their initial storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So what's their next story?
Yeah,
And how
his
to-
daughter's grown.
his
He's,
daughter- yeah,
he's not
exactly.
arrested anymore.
And
He's got a
even-
girlfriend. Like they,
Well, yeah, even his love
good.
interest in the Wasp and Evangeline Lilly, they're together. Like they've worked it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't together. They weren't together. They got back together. They worked it out, and now they're one big happy family
Yeah,
now,
and
right?
you know, after like hearing you guys say all this, man, I'm actually very interested to see if they use his character again or where they let him go next. Because like you're right, everything's pretty much solved. They teased them going back into the quantum realm to help out that ghost character,
Yeah.
but we don't even know what happened to her in the last thing. So it'd be interesting to see where they go from there with Ant-Man. But I think personally, I'm on the same boat as you guys. I don't think I really need to see him in his own movie, but maybe a part of somebody else's story as
I
a
want him
comment.
to still- I want them to still
comedic
be
relief there. Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I want them to still be there,
Yeah.
but let's if we're gonna expand the story and we're going away from Earth, that's Captain Marvel, that's Guardians of the Galaxy, that's the Eternals.
Yeah.
You know, that's the direction
Exactly.
I see.
And if they're
Cosmic.
gonna do Avengers, who's the next main guy?
All right. So listen, guys. Again, that was everything in the movie news, and we know you guys like the prep, so we're gonna give you the prep. Sanj had an excellent idea, actually. We're just gonna name everything prep. Every podcast is gonna be like what we love, prep. No, but for real, we'll get you guys ready for these movies that are coming out. And the next big one that's coming out is gonna be Toy Story 4 that comes out this Thursday. And it's gonna be a really good one, man. I actually just rewatched all 3 of them during the last week.
As did I.
And goddamn, man, I hated it going through all that again, man, because I forgot how good they were, these movies. And on top of that, that third one, man, Jesus, it's just that ending just gets you. But we'll get to the ending on that. We'll start from the beginning to make sure you guys know where we're headed with Toy Story. So Toy Story 1.
Introduced us to the characters,
Yeah.
Woody and Buzz.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first thing that Toy Story 1 gave us was that freaking song, man.
You got a friend in me.
Who sings that?
Al. Al, don't mess it up now, man.
Dude.
We've been talking about you for a couple of weeks about how
When the Blu-ray came on and I heard that song, I'm like,
Randy Newman.
Randy Newman.
Randy Newman, man. He goes, bop, bop, bop. I'm like, is this guy jazz? But it's just,
He's a
so-
little bit country. He's a little bit rock and roll. That's also a song.
yeah, he's so perfect. That song was just great, man, for that song, for that movie. And wow. I got so many theories about these movies. I will go over the theories at the end, but so let's get into that first Toy Story, man. We get introduced to Woody, who looks like he's in charge of the whole team, of everybody there. He organizes everything. They have meetings. Meetings because they're about to move. And it's just so crazy because I think that was the first computer animated movie that came out, right? I think so. I think-
Completely,
first name, yeah.
completely animated.
yeah.
I think so.
And that was
Yeah, because that's 95.
that was 95?
95.
Yeah.
Jeez, I was in 11th grade.
You're really dating yourself, bro.
Holy moly.
Putting your business out there on
My
Front
bad.
Street.
My bad.
No, this up to you, man. Like, hey, more power to you.
But no, I didn't believe it came out in 95. I thought that was at least 2000
No.
something.
Okay,
no.
95.
Wow.
That's 95.
And that was one of my favorite movies, man. When I saw that movie, I was just like, "This is great."
So what's crazy? So now I'm gonna put our biggest fans business out there too.
Go for it.
So in 95, the movie comes out in 95, and I started watching Toy Story movies with our biggest fan. She's the same age as my daughter, who is now completely into the Toy Story movies.
Yeah.
Even today, she's like, "Daddy, can I go see Toy Story 4?" I'm like, "Yes, sweetheart, we'll go see Toy Story 4." She's like, "Daddy, I want to go to the theater to see Toy Story 4."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, sweetheart, we'll go to the theater. Daddy will take you to the theater." And she's like, "Okay, Daddy."
That's actually pretty cool because I've actually I've caught my son watching some of the Toy Stories on the TV downstairs in the living room, and every time I'll catch it, I'm like, "Oh wow, he's watching these movies that I used to watch," and such good stories, man. Al, have you caught your daughter watching this?
No,
Not
she
yet?
hasn't. No, not yet. She's
She too cool for that. She's
not-
past the age.
she still hasn't gotten into watching a full movie yet.
Yeah. No, same thing with Noah.
Yeah. Like she'll watch like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's here and there. Like if a movie catches her interest and she watches it, it's rare.
Right.
Like I got to. You're gonna laugh. The movie she will watch from beginning to end, Skyscraper with The Rock. I don't know what it is about that movie. She will ask if she sees it, like if I'm going through the
Yeah.
grid and she sees the preview, or if it highlights and shows the picture.
Right.
Sky, she wants me to put it on. Don't ask me what it is about that
Hey,
movie.
she likes action movies. That's cool.
Yeah. No, she likes scary movies too, Chucky.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, no, she hasn't caught. She'll watch, I guess, like some of the clips if they come on YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she hasn't caught the whole movie yet.
Yeah, man. And it was crazy because like when I see my son watching these movies, I just like, oh yeah, I remember that, and it's no big deal. I wonder if I still like them or whatever. And then like watching them again, I'm like, yeah, man, these are good movies.
Mhm.
These are really great movies, man. And just to get kind of back into the Toy Story 1 movie, you know, I think they started off with the staff meeting with Etch. Etch a Sketch. They had the dinosaur that was trying to be scary and nobody was scared of him.
Yep.
And what ended up happening from there was, I think they found out there was a birthday party because they were moving. They all assumed that there wasn't going to be a birthday party, or the birthday party was supposed to be later on. And they sent the army guys down
For recon.
to find out what toys they got. And one of the funniest lines in there, say, Mrs. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head. The freaking Potato Head was looking for a female Mrs. Potato Head.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hilarious, man. So that's where we get Buzz. Buzz is the last gift that Andy gets. By the way, Andy's a dick. By the time we get to the third one, but he's not a dick. He's just he's a grown up.
Yeah.
You know.
He's going off to college by the third one.
Yeah, man. So, you know, Andy gets a Buzz Lightyear, and the unthinkable happens to Woody. He thinks he'll never be replaced. That he tells everybody else not to worry about being replaced. Don't worry, it's fine. Then it happens to him.
Yeah.
Not so fine.
Yep.
Yo,
But it was good because it leads into one of the main themes that I always thought about the movie was helping kids adjust. That's what I thought the main goal of this movie was to help kids adjust to another kid coming in.
absolutely.
So I always thought that was one of the things it was trying to help kids realize is like you're not being replaced.
Exactly, man. That's actually when I try to figure out what the first one meant to me, what I thought it was the overall story that it was trying to tell. It was the adapting to change.
Mhm.
You know, just if any situation you may not feel you're going to handle it well, but the way you handle it and the way you go through with it will help you grow. And that's part of the story of this thing. Woody realizing that, you know what, everything's still going to be okay.
Mhm.
And he's going to play with us,
Yeah.
the Buzz, me, and everything. And I just thought it was a really awesome like way of showing that with toys, you know?
Mhm.
And what about you, Saj? What do you think of the story? Like, what did it mean to you, that Toy
To
Story
me, it
1?
was just about friendship.
Yeah.
And I think that's what comes through in all three of the movies, like the bonds that tie them all together. If you look at them, all the toys are very different. They're a very diverse cast of characters,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yet they all have their role to play. They all get along. They're all a family at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And even with all the differences, to me it's always been about friendship. And I especially the movies and things I see in the movies, I always bring it back to us, where we're from very different places, different backgrounds. I mean, we grow up together, and we're our family. Like, this is our family now,
Mhm.
you know. So like, we're a very diverse cast of characters
Absolutely.
with just backgrounds and personalities and everything we got going on, and it resonates,
Right.
you know, and it works. Very different, but at the same time very alike, and it works. Sometimes a new guy comes in, right? Because Al came in a little bit later, or to the group, and then here's a new guy coming in, and how's he gonna fit in, right?
Al's Buzz Lightyear.
You know what? Al's better than Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But yeah. But it's, and we've talked about the circumstances under which Al came in. But I think it's hilarious anyway. But that's an aside. But and then it just all works. And I think even though we were older at the time, we're still watching those cartoons with our little siblings and whatnot, and the lessons are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are, 24 years later, still talking about the first Toy Story movie,
Yeah,
and now realizing how serious of a thing it was and how great these things are to have children watch.
Absolutely, man.
Mhm.
I just love that movie, rewatching it again. And if any of you guys haven't seen Toy Story 1 in a long time, definitely give it another look, man, because it was really good. It just flows, the story just goes. It's weird because when I was watching it, I was looking for this theme or big thing like happening like a regular movie, and it just felt like just certain things were just happening, Woody and Buzz fighting, over Woody's jealousy issues with
Yeah.
Buzz, and then all of a sudden what ended up happening was Buzz got kicked out of the window, and all the toys assumed
that Buzz tried to kill him.
that Woody tried to
tried to
kill
kill
him.
I mean, Woody tried-
But then you see Woody realizing that he has to try to save him because it's Andy's toy,
yeah.
and then they get lost. They go to Pizza Planet to look for a spaceship or try to find Andy and get back home. And then one of my favorite things in Toy Story is all those damn aliens.
Yes.
Ooh, the claw.
The
And seeing that
But
again was awesome.
When we
man.
get to Toy Story 3,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
the claw.
Yeah, man. And then I think another thing on there was I was always trying to figure out what Buzz's story really meant, because remember, he thought that he was the real Buzz Lightyear.
Right.
When your expectations don't meet what reality is, you know what I'm saying? His expectations was to be this star commander or part of this big space organization, and to realize that he's just a toy. It's just like, whoa.
Well, again, it comes back to the rest of the toys knew they were toys,
Right.
right? They knew what they were. He didn't know he was a toy, and then that realization. It could come back to something like Thor in the conversation he had with his mother in Endgame, where he's just like, I failed at who I'm supposed to be, or I failed, and he's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that means you're just like the rest of us. He's like, well, I'm not supposed to be like the rest of you.
Gotcha.
And she's like, well, why don't you stop trying to be like what you think you're supposed to be and just be who you are?
Exactly.
It could be something like that.
Yeah. Maybe, man. Maybe. It's hard because there's always the interpretation of how you take it on your life experiences and what you see in them. Like I said, I was sitting there trying to figure out what's Buzz's deeper meaning kind of thing, and I couldn't really figure out Buzz. Did you get anything for Buzz? Or?
Well, it was along those lines. Like what I took him to be was a representation of everybody tells you what you're supposed to be. Like he was made and made to be an action hero, super soldier, whatever, and he was made believing that, and then he was made to be reality that okay, that you're not that. But at the same time, we still accept you. So it was more what I took him was, all right, everybody may tell you that you're supposed to be X, Y, Z. You may even feel like you're supposed to be X, Y, Z.
Right.
But even if you're not, you can try to be it. But even if you're not, we're still here.
So
you're coming home no matter what. We still love you, whether you are that or you're not that.
Was it then about others accepting him or him accepting himself?
Well, him trying to be what you want. Whether you want to try to be that because you think that's what you need to be, go ahead. We'll love you if you are that, and if you are not, we're still gonna love you. We're still here.
So is the message more for kids or is for parents? It's for
It's a
parents
little bit
too.
of both,
both.
man. Honestly,
Movies like that I always feel are more for the parents.
absolutely. Yeah, I think the
When
Toy
you
Story
think,
series.
because think
period,
about
man.
it, if you mute that movie, kids, a lot of the kids that were being taken to watch that movie would still watch it and think it was a great movie. And you muted it because they're more reacting to the toy falling, something dropping on its head, this and that.
Yeah.
Whereas the message is the verbal, and that's what the parents are really understanding. So I think it's for both,
Right.
and that's why parents can go see it and get one take, and kids can go and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, the aliens with the 3 eyes said poop."
Oh man.
So I think they do it to satisfy both. They know the parents are going to come, so they'll put the message in there for the parents.
It's always funny what kids will pick up on
Right.
in movies, like because from the Lego movies, the one line my daughter gets stuck on. She just walks around here. She's like, "We are from planet Duplo, and we are here to destroy you." Like she just walks around like she will just meet a person like, "We are from planet Duplo, and we are here to destroy you."
Oh my god.
I'm like, yo, she's a savage.
Oh my goodness, man. Yeah, man. So I mean, with Toy Story 1, we ended up where they were all captured. Well, not all captured. Buzz and Woody was caught by Sid, and they tried to get out of there. And Sid was gonna explode Buzz Lightyear with the big dynamite or rocket for the firework thing there. And they did the the evil toy trick where Woody did the possession. Head turned around. Poor kid, man. He know he had to go see like a psychiatrist right after that shit.
Definitely.
So anyway, they escape from Sid's capture, and they get back. You know, they go through this whole process of trying to get back onto the moving van with the other toys. The toys see Woody going into the van to get the RC car out. They think that he's trying to kill the RC car. And it's just hystericalness, man. And then eventually Buzz and Woody both get back into the car with Andy on the way to their new home. And everything's all good from there, man. And Toy Story 1, again, classic, man. If you guys haven't seen it, man, it's a good movie. Again, like I said, when I watch it, I try to look for like, beginning, middle, end, what the story is. And for that one, it just felt like things were just happening and just went from the beginning and just ended. It wasn't really like a big story, but it was such a good movie to watch. It was something that, like, we always talk about, entertain, good story, good characters, and then the voices of all these characters too was just, we got
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks in there. Yeah, he's awesome.
Like enough said.
Yeah, right. And then we move on to Toy Story 2, which I think was would you say Toy Story 2 is a better movie than Toy Story 1?
I think that I wouldn't
equally the same.
I wouldn't rank them. I just think I think the series kind of just flows into each other. I wouldn't rank them because I enjoy all of them, for one reason or the other. So where Toy Story 1 was more about Buzz and Buzz accepting himself and being accepted and whatnot, this one turned the attention to Woody.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think the exact thing that Al was saying about Buzz is what Woody was going through in Toy Story 2, because what happened in Toy Story 2 was he was supposed to go to some kind of, like, I guess, cowboy camp with Andy.
Right.
And I think
that was his big moment to shine.
Exactly. He was ready he was excited. He was ready to go.
Because in the beginning of the movie, he's looking for his hat, because you can't go to cowboy camp, but you're a cowboy, you got to have a hat.
Right.
Right?
And then he rips his arm or something.
And yeah, so his arm tears.
Yeah.
And Woody's like, oh, Andy's looking at him like, you're broken. And it's like, damn, dude. He just shelved him. Put him on the dusty shelf and left him there. And you have Woody there contemplating life.
Slumped over.
And then it's just funny because you hear all the other characters like, what happened to Woody? He got shelved. And it's so regular for us. And then you think about it in their way of thinking and their way of seeing things, these toys.
That's like the worst thing that could ever happen.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And let's see what happens after this. Woody was shelved. Oh, the yard sale. Mm-hmm. So what happens with the yard sale now is, Mom goes into Andy's room to I guess, like, throw out some stuff. It's typical parents.
Right.
They want to get rid of stuff. And even myself, I found myself going into my garage and just looking for shit to throw out. So his mom does the same thing. And she ends up taking Wheezy. Because Wheezy is the penguin that was shelved for God knows how long. He couldn't wheeze. He couldn't do anything. And I
think it's great how Wheezy's also like a lounge singer.
I actually have a little Wheezy thing in my car. So funny. But
and then I think she accidentally grabs. She had put the toys in a bag that was supposed to go.
No, that's Toy Story 3.
Oh, that's 3.
Yeah.
I'm jumping
so
ahead.
what happens is on that one, she brings Wheezy in the box, and I guess Woody, seeing himself in Wheezy, goes to try to rescue him.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he ends up getting stuck somehow. I think he was trying to put Wheezy in the dog's collar.
Yeah.
And the dog moved too fast, so he fell on the floor, and that's where we find is it Al's chicken? Al's toy barn, and he dresses up as a chicken.
Yes. yes.
Yeah, so he happens to be there at the yard sale that the mom's having,
and Woody's the last piece that he needs for that set, and he's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he tried to hide it. He's like, I'll give you 50 cents for it. And then Mom's like, oh wait, that's not for sale. How'd that get here? And then he ends up stealing it. He takes Woody back to his house.
I mean, Woody gets a makeover though. I mean, he gets refreshed,
Yeah. And then we meet Jesse, the prospector, and Bullseye. And that, dude, Jesse's story, when we find out what happened to Jessie, the way she tells, or
Emily,
the prospector tells that,
Emily was her girl.
Her owner there, and Jesus, that was heartbreaking. And then you freaking have Sarah McLachlan singing that damn song. So, you know,
Yeah, he just like yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They just know how to write these stories to
For
really,
real.
make you feel that feeling.
Hey, I was sitting there like, fuck you, Emily.
I know, right? And then you think of yourself like, are my toys sad? Does Optimus Prime sit down here all sad just because he sits on a shelf all day?
You gotta play with Optimus, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh my God, man. And then that's where we get Woody gets confused after hearing everything that happened to Jesse, and then the prospector pretty much, convincing him that, hey man, that's what all these owners are gonna do. They're just gonna get rid of us one day. You might as well stay with us and be loved and whatever from a museum every day, rather than your owner who's gonna eventually, let you down.
mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh wow, I wonder what he's gonna do, And then he gets that opportunity
and
to
then
leave.
remember when they have. When they're having their own little show and song and dance with that, when the prospector like farts in his box because his name is Stinky or Smelly or something like
Stinky Pete.
that. Stinky Pete. Yeah. And then he like farts and he's like, oh gosh. He's like, I guess that's why they call me Stinky Pete.
He got too excited. One leaked.
Inside joke.
Oh man, but I mean, listen, man, seeing those new characters, man, they really did good coming into that story. Al, what'd you think of that? Like that part of the story with the prospector Jesse. Did you start feeling like maybe Woody should stay with them as part of being in the museum because Andy was just gonna eventually get rid of him one day?
Actually, no. Because of the fact that it to me it sounded like that was the easy way out.
Gotcha.
You have one fight, you don't even have an understanding of what the person is doing, where they're coming from, and you've already said, okay, I found a new person or a new group to be with. So it was like, I agreed, no, don't go with them, which was what his hesitation was. But I could see where he was coming from. He was hurt. This was an easy solution to his pain. So, I can understand why he was going with it for a while.
Absolutely right, because he had just been left behind, and now he's like, you know what, maybe they're onto something. But I guess they showed him thinking about everything because Buzz kind of reminded him, hey, we're Andy's toys.
Yeah.
And we made an agreement to be his toy, and we'll be there for him whenever he needs.
It was just interesting to see Buzz making that argument to him because if you go back to Toy Story 1, Buzz was the one that needed all the convincing.
Exactly, yeah.
That
they kind of flipped it on him.
Right, you are in fact a toy, and this is what you're supposed to do and everything. And Woody goes through now what Buzz goes through in the first movie, and it's Buzz being there to like bring him back.
Yeah.
To his, not to his senses, but just to his confidence.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And then I think that pretty much from that movie, that was pretty much the base of that movie was that prospector stopping, Woody from going back to Andy because of the fear of him not being wanted, and also the fear for prospector of him not being ever used again.
Well, the prospector started off looking like a benevolent character, but it turns out he was really malevolent because he wanted Woody there because Woody completed the set.
And that was the only way they were.
And the collector wouldn't be able to sell them to the museum if they weren't a complete set. So to him, this was his way. So it was completely selfish for him. The reason he wanted everybody there, especially Woody, and Woody was just the last piece
that they were missing to get
right.
That. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I think one of the cool parts of that movie part 2 there was we finally met Zurg, the evil guy for Buzz.
I like the nod to Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's like you killed my father. No. I am your father.
I know. I was like, oh my God.
No! It was awesome, bro. I loved it. It was awesome.
When they came out of the hotel, the fake Buzz and Zurg were playing with each other catch.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm proud of you, son.
And then the dinosaurs, I finally beat Surge.
Yeah, man, that movie was incredible, man. I mean, and how it ended was that airport scene, basically, where they were trying to save Jesse because Jesse got locked up in a box.
That scene, reminded me a lot of the plane scene in the Fast and Furious movie. I can't remember which one it is. It all just blends into one for me. But I was just sitting there thinking, how long is this damn runway?
I think that was
that's 4, right?
no,
Yeah.
no.
It's got to be like 6.
That's the one with Gal Gadot, and
Yeah.
that she passes away in that scene. It's either 6 or 7.
7, yeah.
I think probably 6. It was.
Yeah.
Because
Because
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
the scene lasted a good 20 minutes. Like, how long is this runway, bro? Like,
yeah, man. So I mean, they save him and they put Prospector with a little girl so that he could be loved by the little girl.
Stinky Pete.
Stinky Pete. And we get to see that they brought all the toys back. So Bullseye, Jesse goes back with Andy and Buzz, and they all go back to Andy's room, and they end the movie right there. So they shows them like starting this new family with those characters in there, and then we get to Toy Story 3.
Even the way they started Toy Story 3, like showing Andy grow up through the years and everything, you're like, wow.
Right? It's just crazy because at first I didn't know where they were going as far as how old he was going to change. I thought it was just going to be a couple years, but they put him right to like around 17 years old because
He was going to college,
Yes.
so he was
Yep.
17, 18.
Yeah, man. And I guess like in the conversation the toys were having, they were kind of mentioning like the toys that they lost during that time frame.
Yeah.
And they said Bo Peep is gone, Etch is gone.
That was so sad when they said Bo Peep was gone. Like
Right?
that, I felt so sad.
and that's what I'm kind of curious because I see in the commercials for Toy
She's
Story
back.
4 Bo Peep is back, or maybe it's a different Bo Peep, but maybe not. Well, I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
But,
Because she seems to know Woody in the
Exactly.
trailer.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because while Andy was growing up, they showed that the army guys that were in the first 2 movies, they're like, oh, we're out of here. We've served our
when
purpose.
they dipped, that was hilarious. They just dipped. They're like, we're out of here. They're like,
And the last guy goes, good luck. You're going to need it. And then gets the hell up out of there, man. And, like we were saying before with the themes of like 1 and 2, like I said, the first one to me was adapting to change was the first one. The second one was more like, what happens when we lose who we are kind of thing. The third one for me, I think the meaning of the third one was kind of like letting go and acceptance of, excuse me, letting go and the acceptance of things that happen when you let go of, just let whatever's meant to be. Just let it happen. Because even in that story, man, it was just like freaking crazy with, I guess, them facing the fear of being left in the attic because they were about to be put in the attic, or they didn't know what was happening because they weren't played with. They came up with this whole scheme for Andy just to look at them. And at 17 years old, he was like, what is this? He called it junk.
right.
And they took it all personal. So, I mean,
But then they were all set to go to the attic. They're like, listen, Andy will go to college. We'll sit up in the attic for a few years. There's the race cars up there. I mean, those Christmas guys, they're fun, right?
he was super selling it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, no, but their whole, like, how they, from a toy's perspective, would rationalize everything. Like, hey, the Christmas guys are up there. They're fun. And then everybody's like, yeah, those guys are fun,
And it was crazy because, I think one of the things that happened in that scene was with Andy chose to keep Woody. With him. He was going to put Woody in the box for college, but the rest of the toys were going to go up in the attic. And what ended up happening was he put them in the trash bag to kind of like get them ready to go upstairs. He left them,
and they wouldn't believe Woody when Woody was telling them, like, no, this is a mistake. You
Right.
guys,
it's not what it looks like. And they're like, he called us junk.
Oh man.
So what'd you think?
It was interesting, and yeah, I agree with your take. It's about like change and all right, what do you do when it's time to move on?
Yeah.
Do you accept it? Do you fight it? How do you react? And then it shows all of their different reactions. So
Absolutely, man.
it was definitely
They were
interesting.
bugging out, and then I think one of the things that they took like pride in was being sent to Sunnyside. This idea of this daycare place where they're going to be played with all the time. And then it was kind of like Mafia Run.
Yeah,
What was is it big? Lotso?
Lotso. The bear, he put him in the room with the toddlers.
Oh man, that was so dirty. He was selling it too. He was just like, "Oh, welcome. This is
They're
the
gonna play with
greatest
you
place
all day."
all day."
What about your boy Ken?
Dude, that was so funny. He's like, no one understands that you need different outfits.
Did he have the scarf?
He had the little ascot.
The ascot, yeah.
And then Barbie took it back. Give me my scarf.
Okay. The best was when she pretended to be him to get Buzz's instruction manual, and the dude she got it from, the toy that she got it from, saw her walking away in the heels, and they just assumed it was Ken.
She was inside of an astronaut suit.
Yeah, but how they like the dude didn't even bat an eye. They were just like he just and shook his head. Because they're like, it's Ken. Like,
yeah. You're a girl's toy. Stop saying that. Why do people keep saying that? That's because hilarious, man. What's it called? While the normal other toys, not the normal, but the other toys from Woody's family of toys, they get stuck in that caterpillar room with the toddlers. He gets stuck on a tree trying to escape from there to get back to Andy's house to get back into the college box. And he gets fined by the little girl. I can't remember the name right there. Was it Bonnie?
Bonnie, yes.
Bonnie, yeah. So Bonnie finds him, sweet little thing. And she takes her to his toys. And he gets played with again. And he's like, oh, I loved it. Because the other toys were like, you're great at this.
Are you classically trained?
What, the hedgehog, right? Yeah. And it was so cool, man, because then you get to see, like, all the toys pretty much do this. They wait till the owners are not around or they're sleeping, and that's when they come alive and do all this stuff, man. And it was pretty cool, man. But, he still just said that he needed to go back and help. And that's when he found out the story of Lotso, because they were...
From the little clown,
the clown.
Chuckles
with the sad face. Oh man, but it's crazy when you see Lotso's story, because it's almost similar to like pretty much all these toys, man. Their one fear is being left behind or forgotten. And I guess he was I think this story for Lotso was that his owner fell asleep, and the mom and dad took her and they forgot the toys.
Right. Yeah, and Daisy.
Right.
Yeah, and then when they finally made their way back, he found that he had been replaced. So then he took the other two toys. Was like, listen, nah, we're out of here.
Yeah, she doesn't want us.
Replaced, yeah.
Oh my god, man! And Lotso was crazy, man, because it's funny because he smelled like strawberries. But he was mean as hell, man.
Listen, another one of those characters. He was another character like Stinky Pete. You think at first he's like
Stinky Pete?
Yeah, like prospecting, like he's all nice. And
why don't we know nobody named Stinky Pete, man? We gotta find a friend, a guy or someone named Peter, and we call him Stinky Pete.
We don't know anybody named Peter.
Nah, man. No Peters, no Petes.
Huh.
We gotta find someone. We call him Stinky Pete.
I mean, with what Brandon's been going on with, I mean, we could call him Stinky B.
Stinky Pete.
He's not going like that.
Oh my god, man.
You go edit that out, right?
We'll see. Podcast gold. Oh man. And then so like we're going back and forth between the stories there between Buzz's team and then Woody by himself. And it turns out Lotso kind of found the other toys, Buzz's crew there with Jesse, the Bullseye, and all of them. And they try to find a way to get out, and I guess they capture Buzz.
Mm-hmm.
They hit that reset button, bro.
Yeah,
yo, that was crazy.
Spanish? Didn't he turn Spanish or
No,
something?
first when they
point,
were trying to bring him back, because they hit the reset button for too long, and that put him in Spanish mode.
That was it. He was trying to impress Jesse because he was in love.
Yeah.
Well, he was in love with her from the previous movie.
Right? Yeah, he always found her cute, he said, right?
Yeah.
And
that's what made
Go
Bo
for it.
Peep not being there kind of sad too, because Bo Peep was Woody's girl.
right.
So like, damn son, like, what happened? You know?
Right. Especially with Barbie next door in his sister's room, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Too crazy, man. But what's it called? One of the cool scenes, I think out of all three movies, this is one pretty cool scene. And it's because it brings it back to like other kinds of movies like Mission Impossible, was the scene with Woody coming up with that plan to get them out of the Sunnyside daycare. And it was pretty cool, man. Watching that play out, I was like, oh wow, that's a good plan.
I thought the best part of that sequence was Mr. Potato Head. Where he took himself apart and remade himself on like a fajita. Remember, like he put all his parts on like a little fajita. And,
Yeah, man. And then and then the bird came, started pecking at him. So wait, that was one of the things that was like not confusing because it's just a story or just a animated movie. But I was like, is Mr. Potato Head all those individual parts, or like,
is he the base?
The base, right?
According to Toy Story, he's the parts, not the base.
Right, because he went into a
because
cucumber?
that was pretty cool. You know what that reminded me of when he was the cucumber? Do you guys watch Rick and Morty?
No.
Oh, there was an episode of Rick and Morty where Rick turned himself into a cucumber.
Uh-huh.
And then like he like made it like he ended up having to give himself parts and whatnot, and like he basically took apart a like mice and roaches and like made himself like I looked at that and I thought about Rick and Morty.
Oh my goodness, man.
But it's funny how Mrs. Potato Head was like, oh, he's so tall and slender.
Oh man. With the and while they do that Mission Impossible scene, man, everything looked like everything was working out. They were getting away with everything, and they get caught on the dumpster. I don't know how Lotso found out, but Lotso was there, and
no, remember they the phone. They found the phone.
Oh, that's right. They brought the phone out saying, "Hey."
And he said he cracked under the pressure, like they broke him, and he's the one that dimed them out.
Yeah, and then that's when Woody called him out and told him about himself.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where he got, what was it, Big Baby?
Yeah. Big Baby threw him in the trash, yo.
Yep.
It was insane, man. So Big Baby throws Lotso in the trash. And they all try to try to all get out, get back, or what was it that they did? Because
they were all getting out, and then one of the little aliens got stuck. Woody went back to help him, got him out, but Lotso jumped up and grabbed Woody.
That's right.
And pulled Woody down. So then they all had to follow Woody, and then they all end up in the garbage truck, and then they go down, end up at the landfill, going through the grinder.
Yeah, man, and that's the crazy part too, because
Lotso is. I'm sorry to cut you off. Lotso is such a piece of shit.
Right, because that's what I was about to say. Because they saved
because
Lotso.
They saved him, right? They got him out of there, and they saved him again when they were in the grinder because Woody and Buzz came back to pry him out from underneath the thing, and then when he climbed up the steps to go stop the thing, they actually boosted him up to hit stop, and then he was like, "Yeah, nah."
Jerk.
At every turn, that dude Lotso.
I wanted him to get his comeuppance.
He did. He did get his comeuppance.
Yeah, man. Right. Well, he ended up in front of the truck. He's like, "Close your mouth." Oh my God, man. But then that leads us to the scene.
Oh,
everybody who's watched Toy Story 3 knows the scene, and he's like, "We see daylight."
That's not daylight.
That's not daylight. And ends up being the incinerator room for the landfill.
I really thought it was the end. I'm like, how are they going to get out of this? I thought it was the end.
Because
I'm like, they're really going to do this in a children's movie?
Because there was nobody left
This is going to be traumatic for the children to see this.
Exactly. And you know what's funny, man? I say to myself now, when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is the last Toy Story because it's the 3 movies. Usually 3 movies, people stop.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm like, they're not going to end it like this, right? And it just felt like it was going to happen.
Like they're really going to do this.
Right? And it just, I guess because I knew it was coming, I didn't get emotional. I wasn't like, wow, this is crazy. But I remember in the theater, I got a little emotional watching that scene, like, because the way the toys looked at each other.
Yeah. And especially the last look that Buzz and Woody gave each other. Not
only even the toys before that, it was like I said, this is about acceptance, and they kind of just like, this is it, this is what's gonna happen,
right? And
instead of trying to fight it, the way they just was like, let's hold hands and do this together. I was like, wow, man, that was definitely touching. Mm-hmm. Now, when you guys rewatched it this week, did that scene affect you? Like the first time you saw it, or was it like kind of you expected it, you saw it coming?
To be very honest, I had forgotten about that scene.
Really? Okay.
So it was like watching it again for the first time.
Right.
And then when I saw it again, I'm like, yeah. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember like how they got out of it. I was like,
yeah. Al, for you, when you saw it again,
yeah, it was rough. It was rough
Still
watching.
rough.
Yeah. Because you gotta imagine, like, especially now, you could realistically put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
Maybe not yet back then, but definitely now at this age, having your own kids and just, you just different life experiences. You could realistically put yourself in that situation and say, damn, if I really didn't think I was going to make it, like, I would hope that if I'm going out with everybody I care about, that at least,
with
We went
pride.
out together.
we're doing it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
You fought, you did everything you could to not have it happen, but it didn't work. So you're going together, and you can at least have that comfort that you're going together.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That was pretty deep, man. That scene, and like you guys said, man, seeing it in the movie, it was just like, wow, that was kind of crazy, man. And then what ends up happening is they end up getting rescued. Sanj, how they get rescued, Sanj?
The Claw.
Because it's funny, when they first got to the landfill, they dipped out.
They totally.
They saw it. They was like, "Ooh!" Yeah, homage to the first one, right?
That's right.
Listen, man. For a long time, those aliens were the favorite part. My favorite part of Toy Story, with the claw and everything like that. And to see that they had the huge claw to pick them up and save them was pretty awesome. And then they end up getting back to Andy's house, and while they all are pretty much accepting the fact that they're going into this box or to the attic. I think the mom kind of convinced them, or Woody puts a note.
Yeah,
on the
Woody
box?
puts a note with the girl's address.
Yeah, because Woody was about to climb up into the college box. They climbed into the box marked attic, and so when Woody starts writing a note, you think Woody's writing college and trying to like just, pull a fast one.
Yeah.
And then the scene is very touching. How he drives the box to Emily's house and says, "Hey, I have these toys here." And how because remember she had played with Woody, but she didn't have all these other toys. And then when she got those toys, and then he explained who all the toys were. It was so cute. Like he was explaining to this little girl, like, this is who. And then when he got to the pig, he's like, oh, he'll hold your money, but he's like also the most evil one. Like he'll keep your money safe.
It wasn't it like almost like they were saying goodbye to us.
Yes.
The way he was describing them and talking
Yes.
to the girls, like, hey, this is who this one does, or this who he was.
Right.
And I was just like, wow.
And then when he gets to Woody,
He didn't know Woody was in that box.
no, he didn't know Woody was in that
I
box.
was surprised he put himself in the box. The way Woody had came off in the first three movies altogether, it always felt like he just would do anything to be with Andy or be around Andy. And to see him in that box, I think was touching. Because he kind of like, I want to be with my friends.
Because remember, in the scene when they all thought they were about to die, right? Woody was the last one to grab somebody's hand, right? He was the last one. Even though they are a family, Woody was more always Andy, like you were saying. And then the rest of them were always like, they're the family, right? And they're Andy's toys, but they're the family. This was like Woody that was the moment, I think, when Woody accepted that, no, I'm theirs. We're Andy's toys, but I'm theirs.
Yeah.
And that's when, he just realized that that's where wherever they were, that's where he belonged.
Right. And that was pretty cool, man. I really did enjoy that ending and seeing that, because again, it's almost like you got a bunch of different things happening at that one ending, which is why I thought that third Toy Story was like almost like a perfect ending. You got that closure that he accepted that, hey, this is my team. This is who I'm going to be with. This is who the people I want to live out the rest of my life with, pretty much, right? His toy life. And seeing them with the Bonnie, you knew they were going to be played with again. You got that last play with Andy. Andy played with them one last time, which was awesome. And, that movie, man, it was pretty good, man. I really enjoyed seeing that third one. I actually appreciated the third one more than the first and the second one, because I felt it was more of a story there. There was more feeling, more everything to it, which I really enjoyed.
But by this time, you invested so much in the characters.
Yeah.
They brought you on that journey with the characters. So now you know who they are, you know what they've been through, so you have some time there, and so you can feel a little bit more for them with what they're going through, and then they put you in some very emotional situations.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Out of the three of the movies there, which ones do you have a preference, or you did this just like
I don't
they're
have a
all just
preference.
good?
I just think they just all work well together. Like you watch Toy Story, you watch all three of them.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't pick one. I can't rank them. I just think they're all incredible.
I got
and
you.
and the idea for Toy Story was just such an original concept. Obviously, there's been other movies about toys and whatnot, but just the way they work together and everything, it was such a great concept. It was such a great story.
Yeah.
And they kept it going. Toy Story 4 is happening because they just want to make more money.
Yeah.
Right, and I wonder why
Because
went
they
back
felt
to that.
like it ended in 3.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Like they were saying goodbye. That was it.
Mhm.
So it's
I think if they came with this Toy Story 4, it has to be because it's a good story. It has to be something that's good.
Or
Well, they're
they know
saying
it'll
that.
make money, and they
But
want
it
to make
can't
money.
suck, Sanj. If it sucks, then it'll
I'll be very upset if it's
No, I'd be
Yeah.
surprised if I don't
It's
think it's gonna
Pixar,
be
so-
bad. Yeah.
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 I just don't. Where do you go with it?
I'm interested to see where they're going with this movie.
Because you'd have to
absolutely.
reestablish the kid, whoever that is. I don't know if it's Bonnie.
Bonnie was the last
So
one.
whoever the kid is that they're playing with, because whoever it is, they're saving the toy for the kid. Isn't
Yeah.
that what the movie is?
Sporky, yeah.
That doesn't know he's a toy.
But
So it's back to number 1, where Buzz Lightyear didn't know he was a toy.
Right. So it's got to be something different.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Al? Are you kind of like with Sanj, the same boat where these movies are just pretty much they're all just good, or do you have a preference for one over the other?
I like 2.
Yeah.
I
okay.
mean, I'm agreeing that they're all independent. Like you don't need one. You don't need to see the first 2. You don't need to see to understand 3. You don't need to see 1 in order to understand 2. I like them for that reason, but I just like 2 for the reason like the little throwbacks to Star Wars. I like when Zorg is throwing the balls and you hear it go.
yeah.
Like, I just like it's little
With a
things like-
never-ending supply.
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't stop. And then Buzz Lightyear is trying to the different Buzz. It was like a different Buzz, and he's still shooting the light.
The
thinking
laser
he's-
thing?
Yeah, thinking he's hitting him with a laser, and it was just those fights, and then the throwback to the "I am your father" and that. And,
Yeah.
3 was just sad, so that's why I like the joy from 2.
Yeah.
Then just seeing them going back to that scene in the incinerator was sad, but that's why I'm just curious with 4.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I do have hope for it, I would say,
Yeah.
is because you see Bo Peep in the trailer. So remember, we don't know what happened to Bo Peep.
Mm-hmm.
So now, okay, let's find out what happened to Bo Peep. Apparently, it looks in the trailer like she's trying to convince him to not go back again,
Right, to Bonnie or
Right.
whoever what's going on.
showing
now.
them this world outside of being linked to a kid, I guess. Because even when they were trying to go to Sunnyside, is because they wanted to be played with by more kids, right?
Right.
So now we're gonna get Bo Peep's story with what happened there, and
I got to see Key and Peele's characters. I can't wait to see those guys, man.
Yeah, did you know Keanu is the voice of the
Something
sports, like the
the
Daredevil?
motorcycle Daredevil guy, right?
And
Kaboom?
he made them add depth to that character, because he kept asking them like, what's the backstory to the character, what's the backstory to the toy, the backstory. So they had to add how he's depressed because of what they were saying, that in the promotions for the toy, they show the toy doing all these stunts and he's the greatest stuntman from Canada, and then they show a clip of the kid playing with the toy and he just
barely jumps.
really- So it's just funny how like I wouldn't think that toy has to have a backstory, but like you said, it's true. It's like every if you relate that toy to a person, everybody has their story. Everybody
Exactly.
has their history, their baggage that they're bringing with them. And no matter what face they put on, there's something behind that face.
Absolutely. Well said, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you know, I wanted to tell you before we cut this podcast off. There is that some of the theories that I watching it over again, and then of course, you know, I like to do the YouTube thing just to see what other people said, their takes on certain thing, and I was trying to find like little meanings to certain things. And one of the things I came across was that Emily, the Jesse's owner, they think is Andy's mom, because
I've heard that.
the hat that Andy has while he's playing with Woody is not Woody's hat. It's Jesse's hat. It's a red hat with the white lace going through it. So they're like, why would he have Jesse's hat? He didn't have a Jesse doll. So they're assuming that Jesse's hat came from
The mom.
the mom.
Wow.
So Andy's mom is the douchebag that left Jesse.
That,
grew up.
that would
She
you
grew
know
up,
what, that
that's
actually
She
kind
grew up,
of that
though,
actually
yeah,
kind of
that
makes
does.
a lot of sense, because I mean she begat another douchebag, you know what I mean? Like, Andy's kind of a douchebag, like, you know?
And it's so funny because they're just doing their own life thing, you know, and we don't see them as that until the toys
Could it be
do
also
this.
like the toys are in one way an allegory for parents, like as kids grow up?
Possibly, man, because like I said, I think all this stuff is up to interpretation. What you see in it, you know what I mean?
You know, because like your kids, like they don't, like you're doing all this stuff for them, right? They don't necessarily understand it until they're older,
right?
right? And
Yeah.
they, you know, they go off, and the minute they can get away from you, you know, like they'll try to get away from you because they want to go off and do their own thing, and you know, you're just kind of, you know, stuck at the house, you know.
Absolutely, man. I don't know. I wonder.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just reaching.
And I wanted to give y'all one last one. This is gonna be depressing, also.
Oh man, here we go. All right.
So the theme is, you know, with Andy being the owner of Woody and all the other toys, and what I was seeing, which was pretty interesting because I didn't see it that way until I saw it. I didn't even realize that we never saw Andy's dad.
No.
You know, and in the first one they're moving. In the second one, no mention. He grows up, he goes to graduate, and there's no dad in the picture. And what they're saying is not that the dad died, because there's no like memorial to dad or no pictures of dad anywhere in the movie, but that maybe dad got divorced. And that's why I guess they were saying that Woody is the coping doll, and that's why it's so hard for Andy to get rid of Woody.
I can see that.
And I was like, wow.
I can see that.
Depressing.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And I was like, wow. And then, you know, you watching it and you think about it, and I'm like, you know, even when he was going to go to college, he didn't want to let Woody go.
Yeah.
And then remember when he found Woody in the doll box, and the girl goes, she went to go grab it, and he
Hesitates.
he
Yeah.
hesitated and brought it close into him really quick. Like he almost like didn't want to give that last toy up. And I thought that was pretty like deep, and
Wow.
I was just like,
I didn't even think about
Yeah.
it.
Could he have been the father's toy? Because if
those are older toys,
yeah,
right?
the older toys, Jesse turns out could have been the mother's toy. He could have been the father's toy, and that's how he ended up.
Right? Isn't that crazy? So, I mean, I wonder if anything in Toy Story 4 goes into, like, Emily being, you know,
That would be
Andy's
cool.
mom.
That would
and
be
if
cool
they
if
show
they-
all that
if they
stuff, because
did.
it would link up. Yeah, man. I mean, and that's pretty much the two theories that I saw on there. They were both depressing.
Yeah,
But I wanted definitely to mention them up and everything. But
that's true. Yeah, even for his birthday party, you would think they'd show, because they were showing male characters of the other families, but they never showed his father.
Yeah, and never even mentioned or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was pretty cool, man. But, again, I know we're all looking forward to seeing Toy Story 4 this week. And when we come back on the podcast next week, we'll definitely talk again about Toy Story 4. We'll give our review, our take on it and everything. And it should be really interesting.
I just thought it was great that we could have such a big discussion on Toy Story. Who would have
It's
thought,
crazy,
right?
But it just goes to show you, if there is, and I think we've been saying this from episode 1, if there's a good story, any movie can be made to be
Any genre.
have a deep meaning, a deep
Absolutely.
conversation
Yeah.
about.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, guys, we're going to cut off the podcast right here. And as always, man, we thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Hopefully you got a little insight into Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 so that you pretty much are back to watching Toy Story in your head, and you can see Toy Story 4's continuation of that story. So that way, hopefully you don't have to watch all 3 movies like we just did emotionally.
Gonna go cry now.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I'm depressed now with Emily and Andy's dad.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, to the real fans out there, you can reach us at therealfanreview.com. That's our website. Or you can just email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Send any suggestions. Sanj still has that option there for the 3 shirts. So just give us a call. Not a call, I'm sorry. Just give us an email or a shout. And until next time, guys, it's Hav, Sanj, and Al. And thank you for listening. Good night.